welcome to Peggle Deluxe. Welcome to Fake Lore. Today we're going to be going into the lore of Peggle, everything surrounding Peggle. We're just going to make a new user right here. We call it Fake Lore 3. I've tried to go through this once or twice, just had a bit of recording problems, but we're going to get into it. I want this to be a bit of a retrospective about the whole series of Peggle, not just Peggle Deluxe. I want to get into a lot of in-depth lore between the characters. It's more of a where are they now? What have they done in between games? You know, you'll pick up on it as we go through. I just wanted to point that out, though. You know, it's going to be getting into a lot of character problems. It will get into sort of what Peggle is, what Peggle's about, the lore of the levels, maybe behind-the-scenes content. It'll get into a lot of it. So we'll just click Adventure right now. Go straight into it. Okay. We've gone through this a few times. As I said, I've had some recording problems, but I believe this was going to be the perfect one. Hello, I'm Bjorn, founder of the Peggle Institute. 10 Peggle Masters are ready to teach you how to get the most out of your Peggle experience, and since I'm the boss, I get to go first. The best way to learn is to jump right in, so let's begin. Now, there's a lot to learn here. There's a few sentences that we're going to go into a little bit in depth before I click play, before I click continue. Founder of the Peggle Institute. Now, this is kind of true. When the game was first being created, Bjorn was the first one to be approached, as he was believed to be the only one who could sort of provide the role that, you know, is usually... I don't know. He was the only one who could provide this role at the time of production. And so that he did let that get a bit into his head. And we will get into that when we talk about Bjorn through these levels. And another one, I'm the boss, so I get to go first. Now, you might think, that's a little full of yourself, isn't it? Maybe it's just a joke, you know? But I'm telling you right now, it's not. Unfortunately, Bjorn is a little bit of a prick. We're going to go into it. We're going to go a little bit in depth. I know a lot about this guy. I know a lot about the characters. So just be prepared for this one, because you might get a little bit angry at Bjorn towards the end of this video. But anyway, the best way to learn is to jump right in. So let's begin. If you don't know what Peggle is, very easy. Hit the orange pegs to win. We got 10 balls. It's not easy, but it's not hard as well. If we're just going to hit the red pegs, it shouldn't take us too many attempts to beat most of the levels in the game. We're not going to go for 100% here, just for the lore purposes of sort of talking about it all. Go for a little fun fact first. This house in the background, you might see it near my mouse. That is actually Bjorn's house. It's Bjorn's mansion. He owns that. He actually owned it a little bit before the start of Peggle 1. And this was more for the sort of lore of the levels and all of that. He was giving it at the end of Peggle's thing as like a bonus reward for completing the development. And at that point, Bjorn wasn't that bad, you know? I do want to preface that. In the time before Peggle 1's release, all of production before Peggle 1, Bjorn was a very loved individual in the scene. He had great connections with all of his cast members. He was very, very cordial. He was very lovely. But a few things have happened in between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2 that we'll get into of why that mentality has changed a little bit. Or maybe, you know, there are sprinkles here and there of that he was always like this. Now, you remember the first few sentences that Bjorn's ever said is that he's the boss, he's the big guy. What a shot, by the way. That is very important, that he views himself as the best. Now, one reason that is that he is immortal. Now, you won't believe this, but yes, he is an immortal being. He's an ethereal being. He was found around 4,000 years ago. We don't know how old he is. We're going to say 4,000 years just for the ease of this video. That he is around 4,000 years old, but he was only discovered 4,000 years ago. But that could be a part of it, you know, when you're not tied to the mortal realm like we are. And that is a very, very prevalent theme in Peggle of mortality. He doesn't really give a fuck, is what I'm going to say. And he has not got as much empathy. Now, at the start of the production, or all the way between the start of the production to Peggle 1's release. Nobody thought that because there was no reason to, you know, nobody really knew Bjorn. And Bjorn was very, very cordial with all of the cast members. And now it could have stayed like that, but the reason it didn't is because in between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2, there was this big gap. Now, you might remember that Peggle 2 released, I think, around 2015, 2016. And this game, I think it released in the mid-2000s. So, you know, I can't say for certain where this sort of, what catalyst event this was. Now, we do know it is to do with drugs. Now, his drug of choice, I can just leak this right now, is cocaine. Now, this isn't a very, like, if we were on an iceberg for Peggle lore, this would be near the top. Everybody kind of knows this guy was just addicted to the snow, to the white stuff. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. He was always going in that Colombian room. He was always going in between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2. That was his drug of choice. Now, the reason why that was important is that it kind of changed his psyche. Because he performed so well in Peggle 1 and he was paid so good in Peggle 1, he got very rich, very powerful, very egotistical. Now, this led to a few things. I'm going to try and not mix this up, try and put it in chronological order as we go through. But I believe the first thing he did, he was just not as cordial with the rest of the cast. He wasn't as nice as the rest of that, like, as he was at the start. And then he started to post on Twitter about the state of Israel. Now, we don't really know why this is. If we have a look at the background right now, this is Nepali, Italy. A lovely place. Now, the project manager, he went to all manner of places with all of the cast, and this is Bjorn's quote-unquote home. We don't really know where Bjorn comes from, but the theory, the founding theory, is that he comes from Israel. Now, the reason this is because he has a very but he has a very seminal connection to it. As he posted on Twitter, he's a bit of a Zionist. Now, we're not going to get really political on this space. We're not going to say anything about it, but I'm just saying that after he came out as this Zionist guy, he did start to do all of the rest of this stuff that I'm about to say. Now, you can have your own theories about this. I have my own theories about this. To me, he was infected in some way, or he has always been like this. That is the two theories in my mind that make the most sense. That he was either taken over by some agent of Israel, or he's always been from there. He's always had that seminal connection to his homeland of Israel. Now, again, we're not going to get too political. I just wanted to say that is the catalyst. He started acting so weird after this point. Now, if we just base that purely, no political, no nothing, after it, that's when he did all of the rest of this stuff. That might make you a little bit not as fond of Bjorn, but we'll get back into that. Now, that is about it for the character of Bjorn until we meet other characters. It was a great conversation there about sort of the rise and the eventual fall, as we will talk about later on, his drug problems, this, that, and the other. I thought I'll just go into sort of what Peggle is, what the underlying themes of this game are to me, due to the evidence that I see in front of me. Now, I haven't mentioned it, but these green pegs and these purple pegs have just popped up. I haven't really read through them. I've played through this game quite a few times, so there's no point in me really reading them out, other than sort of to explain them to you. Green is the ability. I think we went into that a little bit. And pink is bonus points. Now, it doesn't really matter where these came from. I will say green was the fact that all of these characters do have these abilities in real life. I do believe I do go into that with his ego problem, though. And one thing to know, and this is about the lore of the general game, is that all the reds, the pinks, and the greens are all randomly spawned in some regard. Now, pinks only spawn on blues, greens can spawn on anything, and reds are sort of just random. This is important to understand a little bit to help with the underlying themes of the game, which to me is life, mortality, death. You know, these types of topics come up a lot when you look at the sort of underlying design of Peggle. Now, what am I saying about this? What are you on about? You might say, Fake Law. Well, what I'm on about is, look, you all get dealt a hand of cards in life, and you can play them however you see fit. Now, I see that as the reds and greens. Let's see if we can hit this shot. That was very close. We'll retry. Don't worry, we've still got a lot of lore to get into, so you might see me fail here and there. Now, yeah, it's great, right? All of these reds are randomly placed, all the pinks, all the greens. You know, it's about how you play it. And, you know, you could say that about a lot of games. Oh, well, if there was no choice, there's no free will. You know what I mean? But that is what Peggle really wants you to try and understand with its design is, you know, do you have free will? Or is it just all up to the look of the cards? You know, if I'd sat here like monkeys on typewriters, I would eventually beat this game just by randomly firing shots off. But there is a strategy here, somewhat of a strategy, even if the underlying design is random. And that is just like life. You can play the hand of cards you've been dealt with to the best of your ability, and you will try that. We're hopefully going to clear up this board pretty soon. Not going to waste too much time here. We're going to get straight on into the next levels. I think there's one more level from Bjorn here. Then we're going to go into the next character, so don't worry too much. Comment right now. What do you think the total score is going to be at the end of this video? If you get it right, you get it right. Well done there, mate. What a shot. We'll take that. Take the bonus points, get the fuck out of here. I don't think there's really anything to say about this level. Obviously, as I've said, the project lead for this, Simon, he went and took all of the cast to these different areas of the game. Now, this is very interesting. This is the final level of Bjorn's, you know, total levels here. And it's a very important level. It is around Christmas time right now. Christmas time of forgiving, of remembering, of all of this stuff. It doesn't really matter too much for the lore. Just that, you know, this shooting star right here. Simon went out when all of the cast were huddled around the campfire, and he went and took this photo. And I just think that's a nice little fun fact for us at the end of this Peggle section. We could delve a little bit deeper into what Super Guide actually is. Now, in Peggle 2, if you remember, the Super Guide comes from the unicorn horn of Bjorn. And yeah, that is pretty much just how it works. We don't really know exactly how he's done this. The same way we don't know when exactly he was born, how he was made, or how he is immortal. Now, there is a conspiracy theory, and this is just a theory, I have to preface this, that the reason why he is immortal is some connection to that homeland that I was on about earlier. Now, I can't say this, as I will probably get banned, but you can kind of do your own research there, figure it out yourself, see what's going on. You'll be able to figure it out, I am sure. Gonna try and clear out these pegs. Come on. It's okay, guys. Got the last peg. And finally, we're done with Bjorn. Straight in the 10k, I think. On about 1,000,000 points, not too bad there. Hey, here he is. Jimmy Lightning. Now, that's the last time I'm going to say his last name here. I am going to be referring him to Jimmy Multiball from now on. this is a very sad section. So if you do want to get some tissues, grab your friends, give them a hug. This is a pretty sad section that we're going to have to get into for the lore of this game to make sense. There's a lot to pick at this screen before we click continue. We're going to read through this and then I'm just going to tell you about the general psyche of what Jimmy multiball is. Alright, a fresh student, are you ready for multiball? It's pretty extreme, but you look like you can handle it. Use it early for mad points, or hit both greens in one shot for some massively multi-ballular action. Come on, let's do it. Now, an amazing first paragraph from Jimmy. We have to sort of contrast this to Bjorn's opening section, where it seemed a bit egotistical. Now, we are going to get into ego. That is a very prevalent thing, along with Peggle, of how ego is used to show different people. That is the different characters in this, is a different level of ego. Now, what's very interesting is that these characters are really similar. We're going to get into that. But what I would like to point out is he has a hard hat and a skateboard. Now, people think this is a helmet, but no, it's a hard hat. He is a builder by trade. And obviously, he is a beaver. He builds with wood. And he is a builder by trade. So why be a builder and skateboard? It doesn't seem to make sense. We go in the real world, you don't really see these builders skating around. I'm sure you can think of maybe someone who builds and he skates as well, but usually builders, they're a little bit older. But I would like to say there's a reason for this. Jimmy is obviously being a builder, you have sort of, it's not a hard life at all, but you didn't sort of get the higher education that maybe he should have before applying for this role. And that's fine. It's just different walks of life. That's all I'm going to say for it, really. But the skateboard, it shows that he's still got that childlike charm to him that he hasn't really lost, even into his older age, as we're going to talk about later. And as he says, come on, let's do it. Let's get into it. My multiball. We already know this, Jimmy. Not a problem, mate. Now, why was I on about him having a different second name? Now, this is a very important thing for Jimmy's character and the lore as well. In between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2, Jimmy changed his last name. Now, you might be saying why. We're going to get into that a tiny bit, but I just need to preface first that it's kind of because he had a drug problem. We know about Bjorn and his cocaine problem, but what was the drug of choice for Jimmy Lightning? You might be asking. I'm going to say right now, it was speed. I can't tell you what speed is or anything like that. It was speed. If you know what speed is, perfect, you can continue. If you don't, maybe have a Google, just to say, sort of know exactly what speed is, what it does to your mind. We will get a little bit into that now. So, bit of a drug addict as well. You might be saying, well, he's just like Bjorn. I can kind of agree in some ways. Even if you're a lovely guy, you're still abusing drugs. You're still doing this, that, and the other. And now, I just don't know what what people would think about that. We're about to finish this first level. What a shot. Okay. Now, why is he different to Bjorn in his drug-taking aspect? Now, this is important. In between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2, he decided to go to rehab. Now, this is an amazing thing. If you were around the time where he crashed out on Twitter, he did do this pretty bad thing where he, we could judge him now in retrospect, but it was because of the drugs. He went on Twitter, he crashed out, and he would we all sort of saw it as a beg for help. But, he can't say those types of words to people of that type of denomination. It's just not fair. He agrees to this, and he agrees that it was not a valid crash out for him, and he completely denounces his actions from it. And I think we can all agree that just because he was on drugs, it's not excusable. Don't worry, it's not excusable, not at all. But there is a reason, okay? That's what I kind of want to preface before going into this next bit. So he goes to rehab, he finishes his rehab, and something really sad happens after he finishes rehab, and he hasn't touched this. He hasn't touched the speed for a very long time at this point, and that is his wife dies. And this is really sad. His wife dies, and you'd expect for a guy like him, he's fresh out of rehab. He's just got all of this shit going on. He doesn't want to be dealing with something like that. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Now, what I'm going to say here is he doesn't get back on the speed. Now, this is amazing. This is the best thing about Jimmy Lightning. He decides, no, I've got to live for her. And that is just such an amazing sentiment. When I first heard that, when I first heard Jimmy's speech, we just failed that level, don't worry, we'll get it back. When I first heard that speech, I did cry my eyes out a little bit. He's an amazing guy. I really do like Jimmy. You can actually chat to him on Twitter if you'd like. You can just message him. He's not super popular anymore. He'll probably give you a response. Just go to @Jimmy Jimmy Multiball on Twitter and give him a message. See what he says. He's a nice lad, and he'll probably message you back. Now, after the death of his wife and his rejection of drugs entirely, this is what happened with Bjorn and him. Bjorn, after seeing his crash out on Twitter and seeing him go to rehab, didn't even call him once. And he decided, he basically just, they were really good mates. As you can see, they're right next to each other on the Peggle 1 screen. After you beat Bjorn's levels, you go straight to Jimmy's, and you think that would be a good thing. But the fact that he didn't say anything during this time is just really telling of what Bjorn's mindset was like during it. And I think it's just deplorable. There's just no way. You have a mate like that, you look after him. And that's the real difference, Bjorn, when he got on his cocaine, he decided just not to help his mates. And that is important. That is very important. I think the best thing that Jimmy had done is come back for Peggle 2. Now, nobody expected him to. Everybody expected him, just because of the trauma that he'd gone through in between the first and second, that he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't come back. But some sources say he needed the money. Some sources say he just wanted to come back for the vibes, for Simon, for all of these other characters. What a shot. But the reason, that's just all speculation. We don't really know the reason he came back. I do think it was a little bit of both. He wanted to come back. I also think he wanted to prove himself. Now, as I said, his last name is not Lightning anymore. It is Multiball. And the real reason for that is that he doesn't want to be connotated with the speed, with the absent-mindedness of that era of his life. And so a good thing that happened, and a real teller, isn't the words that he said, but the metaphorical action of the fact that, have a look at this. Green, right here, that's 2 balls. You go and play Peggle 2, go and hit a green ball with Jimmy. You get 3 balls. Now that is just amazing. That is a little bit of storytelling for you that happens visually, that doesn't happen through words. We're going to try and complete the rest of these levels. That's pretty much it to do with Jimmy. It's a very sad situation. He still loves his kids. He's a very lovely lad. I don't know if he brought up his teeth, but yeah, you can see his teeth are nice here. In Peggle 2, they're a bit offside, is what I'm going to say. They're just a little bit offside, and they're a bit more dirty. So you can see he has been through a lot, and that's another part of the visual storytelling of Peggle. Jimmy's friends with a lot of people. In this level, you can see all of these mice. Now, the reason why they're so happy, you can see at the bottom, they're doing a little bit of a skateboard tournament, and they're giving him a 10, a 9, and a 10. It's lovely. You might be thinking, well, what the fuck does that have to do with Jimmy? And the real reason is he let his dam loose so these guys could do their tournament. If you see in the back, that's a waterfall. He used to have a dam built there, But these mice, they came up to him, they said, Jimmy, would you mind just taking it down for a season so we can do our skateboard tournament here? And he did, you know. We can't fault him for that. He decided, yeah, you know what, I'll let you mice do your skateboard tournament, just because he loves the sport of skateboarding. He loves everything about it, you know. We're going to try and get a lovely shot here. That's a yikes right there. We're going to do a redo. Try and get that sorted. What else is there really to speak about? Not that much at the minute. We're going to get into it with the next sort of characters. And I'm going to say that a lot, but I don't want to give you lore where there's not lore in your face. I want to explain it as we go through and play the game. Got a sip of Coca-Cola while we go do it. It's nice to have a little bit of a break between that because it was a bit of an emotional segment. We all love Jimmy. We all want the best for him. Comment, we love you, Jimmy, right now. It's a lovely shot. We had some pretty shit green placements here, but I think... Okay, that was pretty trash, but we'll get it sorted. Oh, that's good. That's good greens. Oops. Easy. Nothing really else to say about Jimmy. He's a lovely guy. That was terrible. Straight in the 10K. Ah, here we go. This is interesting. We get to dive a little bit into the mind of Simon. So I have brought up this name a few times. I may as well just tell you who Simon is. Simon is the project lead for Peggle 1 and 2. He is the person... People call it a producer in game design, but I like to say project lead just because he gets to make the decisions, the big decisions on how the game is designed, and he does have to get approval for some things from PopCap and EA and all that stuff. But overall, he sort of does get to make all the decisions. This character right here, he's called Snailio. Now, you might be saying, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Jimmy's called Jimmy, Bjorn's called Bjorn, they all have names. Why is he called Snailio? It's a bit of a, I don't know, bit of a crap name. Now, Snailio is a character that was supposed to be in Peggle 1. He is included right here as more of like an Easter egg for those who know. But Snailio, he isn't sentient enough to be a Peggle master. Now, he has an ability. This ability is to slow down time. This is an amazing feature where you get to slow down the time for the cup at the bottom at any point. So basically you can guide the cup to always be on target for your ball. And what an amazing ability that would be. But we can't have everything, can we? The guy isn't sentient enough. And this is something that Simon found through the design process of the game and through creating the lore, is that if they don't have sentience, they just sort of, they can't exist as these other Peggle masters do. They need to know how to speak, how to talk. They need to know, you can have a certain level of intelligence where, you can babble, but Snailio doesn't even know how to speak. That's why he's called Snailio. We had to give him that name. His real name's probably, I don't know, something in snail language, but he doesn't speak English, so unfortunately he did have to be scrapped for the game. But there is still the Easter egg. Now this guy, he's just a random owl. Not a Peggle master. Was there even a Peggle master? No. Maybe there is. I don't remember. I don't know what stage this is. can state my personal opinion, I guess, now on the relationship between Bjorn and Jimmy here. Because it is a place of contingency between fans of how much to hate Bjorn, if that makes sense, you know? I don't know if I could hate him as much as I think I could, you know? Because a lot of it is just from dismission, you know? And it's why in the second game, Jimmy was allowed to... Bjorn still exists next to Jimmy. Oh no, he doesn't even exist next to Jimmy. Wait, I've completely forgot this. Jimmy is a DLC character in Peggle 2. He is not part of the original cast of Peggle 2. Now, this is obviously due to what we mentioned before. He was in the middle of his rehab, dealing with the death of his wife. He was in the middle of all of this stuff, and he couldn't come for the initial filming of Peggle 2, for the initial mocap and all of that stuff, but he did decide to come back in the later stages of DLC, and I believe that the reason for this is a great time to get to the next character, I believe that the reason for this is that Jimmy didn't want to talk to Bjorn at all. He wanted his sessions to be far away from anything Bjorn touched with his fucking disgusting snow-filled snout, okay? And that's why I really think, you know, yeah, I think he could even have been in the original production of Peggle 2, but, like, why would he? And this is why people think that he only did it for money, because obviously you have to pay 79p to unlock Jimmy Multiball. I did that because I'm, you know, Peggle Master over here. But you know, Jimmy needs to lock in. He needs to get all this shit done. He needs to afford his children's university, college, tuition, all of this stuff. It costs a lot to raise beaver children, especially on his own as a single dad. Anyway, we're going to get into this next character. He's a great character. I do have to say, though, and preface, he's dead now. This game was released in sort of the mid-2000s, in between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2's introduction. He just died. Now, the thing surrounding his death is, it's a mystery, but people do believe that he sort of just passed away in his sleep. It just was his time. He's quite old in the first game. He's quite, you know, he wasn't ever really athletic. Everybody sort of just believes that he died of natural causes. So there isn't a lot to say about him. He's called Catul. Meow, I like yarn, but not as much as I like my pyramid power. It extends to the edges of the free ball bucket for extra bounces and last second reprieves. It's subtle, but it can really help you out. Gaze with me into the pyramid and I'll show you. Now we will go gaze into his pyramid right now, sort of get a better understanding of what Catul is. So, the green ability. It just explained it there, but it's very simple. It just makes the ball bucket a little bit wider, helps you catch them a little bit. It lasts for 5 turns as well. It's a pretty decent ability. There was a pretty decent reason why it never sort of appeared in Peggle 2. Obviously, he died. Nothing to help that. But they could have found sort of his next of kin, talked to them about the powers. But it just wasn't. It just didn't fit Peggle 2's design. Simon sort of did say that he wanted to cut down on the amount of characters in Peggle 2 from Peggle 1, just to streamline the experience. Get yourself to really acclimate with these characters. In that way, Peggle 1 really was experimental. It was backed, of course, by EA and PopCap, but we have to understand, you know, the funding was pretty low, but enough to where they could constantly experiment with shorter levels, better things. And there is just a thing of that there isn't as many magical beings on the planet now as there was when Peggle 1 was released. There was a lot more acceptance for magical creatures like Catul back when Peggle 1 was released. So there was so many more. We'll get into it before, we'll get into it later, but that is sort of the overarching story of what Peggle 1 and Peggle 2 is, to me, is this sense of this sense of it was mainly just this sense of I'm trying to think of the word. Nice, we finished all these. This sense of climate change, right? A change in climate, a climate change, you could say whatever. It's not what you think of, it's not global warming or anything like that, but it's just a changing the social climate of how we view these creatures now. We've got the pyramid pile up there, a lovely 10 turns of pyramid action for us, easy as pie. Very good. I don't think we have to worry up too much about these levels. They clear them fairly fast. Hopefully not do any redos here. There's not really much else to say with Catul. He was quite beloved in Peggle 1's sort of inception. Everybody liked him. He didn't really have any personal relationships with any of the rest of the cast. He kind of kept to himself. I don't think there's really anything else to say. He was in Egypt, and again, Simon went with him to Egypt to sort of go through the ruins, go to where he came from. Catul got to experience all of that before he died, which we do think is sort of a nice thing for Catul to be able to do. And that is why he sort of never really interacted with the rest of the cast, is because this was done separately. I mean, some cast members did manage to get to Egypt to film some of the stuff with Catul, but there was no real point of it, you know. It was quite a personal experience, a personal pilgrimage of Catul to go to these things. Of course, Simon was there and Bjorn as well, but that's just because they were, you know, they're a part of everything, you know. It's quite hard to avoid them in the making of Peggle 1. Now you might be saying, why Egypt? And of course, it makes a lot of sense. He's from Egypt, he's Catul, this, that and the other. But I think again it links back to that overarching theme of mortality and ego. You go back to the ancient Egyptians, they believe in this thing called Ha and Ka, body and soul. Now, it's interesting that Catul died in between, because it means that his Ha, his soul, was separated from his Ka, his body. And we do believe that, obviously, it was just a case of either old age, disease, all of this stuff, but you know, to him, it was a very spiritual experience. It's an experience that goes into society and everything that it is to do with the Western world, the Eastern world. You know, we think that we live in this amazing world full of innovation and all of this stuff, but you pull behind the curtain and you do see the flaws in it. With Jimmy Lightning, with Bjorn, even if you're successful, not successful, you might succumb to these things, these worldly possessions. This is drugs, this is alcohol, this is money, this is everything, you know? But with Catul, he never fucked around with that stuff, because he knew that the journey of his life was short, and the journey that his soul would go on is much longer than his life, you know? But I think it is really great that Simon put that into Peggle, you know? Oh man. Let's get a free ball. Thank you. Let's get another free ball. Thank you. Can we do it, guys? I'm not sure. Get a pink. Oh, shit. Yikes, guys. Let's see if we can get a bounce. Come on. Shit. Oh, unfortunate. But yeah, this is why the characters are so important in Peggle. You compare this to other games, the characters can sometimes not be as important as sort of the level or... But this game really is about the entire world, metaphysical and non-metaphysical. You know... And it's supposed to be relatable in some way because you can connect the dots between these characters to real life people that you may know. In the Western or Eastern world, you know, I don't really know a guy who's like Catul. Don't get me wrong, I'm not from Egypt, I don't know any pharaohs, I don't know any of this, that and the other, but I do know guys like Bjorn, I do know guys like Jimmy, multiball. The reason I know people like this is because I live in the Western world, I live in, parts of the world that will succumb to things that those characters have done. And we'll see that a lot through Peggle, is that there's different archetypes of characters that make sense for the overarching story, as I said, of life, death. All of this type of stuff that is existing in our world, but also existing in the world of Peggle. I think it's very interesting, the fact that they use all of these characters who do exist in a way that can make them feel non-existent, you know? I think there's something there to take home with you, is you'll meet people who are like people in Peggle in your everyday life, or sometimes you'll meet them once in a blue moon. It kind of doesn't matter. It's supposed to show you the difference between us all, you know? That's 2 free balls right there, let's fucking go. Well, that's an extreme fever right there. And if you're starting to understand now what the reason for a lot of this stuff is, you know, that's where the brilliance of Peggle and the retrospective of this entire series is that people say Peggle 2 is quite a rushed job where it didn't seem yet to have the care that Peggle 1 did. Now, this is sort of common in sequels of things that have very deep lore, like Peggle, like Dark Souls, where there's still the same amount of lore, but, you know, everybody's going to have their personal opinion on which one is better. Or, you know, maybe they should have focused more time into this, that, the other, you know? And, you know, that affects it doesn't really affect the gameplay as much. I do think it's always been more creative in Peggle 1. You see a level like this, like, you just don't see that type of stuff in Peggle 2. And Peggle 2 can be quite frustrating, you know? You might be stuck on a level for quite a long time. Peggle 1, you sit back, you kick your feet up, you shoot some balls, and you have some fucking fun. That's what this game really is about. Having fun. If it's not fun, why bother? Okay, let's see if we can get this last ball. Easy. I think we're coming up to the last stage of Catul. It's been quite a nice sensation to go through. It's been quite a nice retrospective as well. We've got this one, Fever. Lovely stuff. We'll get straight into it. There's no use fucking around here. We're just gonna get this last level cleared. Say goodbye to Catul. For one last time. It is a bit of a shame. It is nice that he gets to have his legacy almost built into the game. It is the same for a lot of these characters when they do eventually pass away, but the fact that Catul is immortalized here is just another part of his soul interacting with this realm of existence now, rather than later, you know. He could have just decided, you know, I'm not going to do Peggle, I'm not going to go with Simon or do any of this stuff, but he decided to do it. And I think part of that is a part of the ego to want to be remembered, right? You know, you do want to be remembered for things you do, for amazing things that you end up doing for all manner of people, or, you know, maybe just the things you make, the things you star in, your family, your friends. And there is some ego in there to want to be remembered. But that, even for someone who believes in a heart, a kind of body, and a soul, he still does understand the fact that he wants to leave remnants of himself in the mortal world. Come on, guys, let's get better than this. Wow, embarrassing. Come on, get a free ball. Shit. I think we might have to redo this one. Yikes. Hopefully a bit of better R-rating here. Nothing really else to say about the level design here. It's all just filmed in Egypt. None of this was filmed anywhere else. Lovely free ball right there. Definitely take that. We'll clear out the letters this time. I think that'll help. I quite like Peggle because it's a time capsule of around this era of nostalgia, of lots and lots of things. You think back, you probably played this game on the Xbox 360 arcade for free back in the day on Xbox 360, but I think the reason why that is so important is that everybody gets to experience this game and doesn't necessarily get to understand the real deep intrinsic greatness of what Peggle is and what it can be. But that's fine, and that really does tie into how much it relates to the world, you know, the world that we inhabit today. Some people might not appreciate a hot summer's day. They might not appreciate a winter scene with snow. They might not appreciate the wonders of the world as much as the next person, but it doesn't matter. We're all here for a lovely, good time. And I don't think it matters at all. What a fucking shot to close us out on Catul, sorry. And it's going to be a while till we see him again. Have a lovely roam about. Love you, Catul. We're up to him. 4 million points there, total score. Again, smack that in the comments section right now of what you think this total score is. Now, Sporken. We're going to read through this. Hello, mate. Greetings, aspiring Peggle Mort. My task is to expound on Explodious Space Blast for furious fulguration and fabulous firework. Many pegs will be sparkly dismissed, and points will occur at the speed of shock. Set ocular eyes to see, and we shall launch our lesson. Lovely, lovely stuff from Spork here. Now, there's not much to go into what he said, but there is something to do with his design. You can see right there, he is an alien, and this is a true thing. He is a real-life alien. Obviously, these other things, they've all existed on Earth. They have all forever existed on Earth. But no, Spork is from another planet. We don't know where he's from. He is an alien. He's come down to bless us with some nice Peggle gameplay. Let's get into it. Some great designs right here. We're going to hit the green. And you see right there, it's really good. His ability is great. It makes this space blast. And it's a real difference between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2. You don't see something like that in Peggle 2. Something there it can just give you so many points, clear so many pegs. And that's because they're all obsessed with balancing on Peggle 2. And I just don't really like that, you know? I'd rather this game be quirky and fun and all of this stuff, you know? I try and hit this green peg right here. Not really worth it, but it is what it is. Links back to the fact that this is, you're dealing with the hand of cards that you've been dealt. It really is great. You have a look at the level here. We're in outer space. few rocket ships. There's the Futurama ship right there. It's another thing. Futurama is real in this universe. And they got these little things. They're called blobbles. They usually nest around in the planets where this guy's from. We'll see if we can get the rest of this sorted. I didn't think we were going to beat this level, but come on, get a free ball. Lovely stuff, guys. We are doing all right. Oh shit. Shit! Better greens here. See if we can get it down into here. Lovely. Now, he doesn't really have as much of a relationship with the rest of the characters in the cast as Bjorn and the rest of the cast have. So Jimmy, Catul, they've sort of had some seminal connection, but he was included as a last minute process. I know he's 4th. Oh, that was amazing. Wow, look at that, guys. Almost just beat the level right there. He was included as a last minute, which you can kind of tell because he's not really that balanced. And that's absolutely fine by me. I love the fact that you can kind of just get a great big space blast like that and see how many points we've got there. Insane. Only 10k. Not a fucking problem for me. Let's go. Back up in space. A little more Bluffs right there. And this is a story that we'll sort of see throughout the levels of Bluffs. Before they were buried, now they've sort of been captured, and we're going to find out what happens to them next. A great little level right here. Gonna hit the last once more. Pretty trash. Fuck it. We're gonna restart. Get some better greens for us. That's the best bit about Peggle. If you ever see some greens that you're just not really a fan of, you can kind of just restart, get it sorted. We'll do it one more time. See what we get. Deal with it. Not too bad. You know what? One more time, just for the fans. Pretty fucking trash as well. And we get a bit good soundtrack. Why not? Why not? 2 in 1? No, unfortunately not. Maybe just a free peg. Lovely. We kind of wanted it to spawn in there, if anything. I mean, it would get us a lot of points. That's fine. He rolls around with his rocket ship. He goes for a lot of sort of late night Drake and drives, if you ever heard of that. He just like Drake. When he goes on his Drake and drives in his spaceship, he ends up sort of collecting these Bluffs from his distant planets. It's interesting because Simon didn't obviously go to any of these places, and it's all sort of a retelling of... Oh, nice, lovely food. It's all a retelling of... Oh, lovely. It's all a retelling by this alien, so we can't really trust it too much because Simon wasn't there. Oh, nice, another great ball. I'm just going to finish that one off there. So we can't really trust him whenever he says any of this stuff. It's included in the game, so we are going to put that in the lore. But take it with a grain of salt. This probably didn't happen, you know? Getting our fever score up. Amazing. Oh yes, this is a real robot. This is, I think he called it, I don't even remember what he called it. Honestly, I don't trust a fucking word from this guy's mouth. He doesn't really seem like a very trustworthy guy. I don't even know if he's an alien, you know. He might just be putting it on. The thing is about it, the only one thing that, like, sort of supporting evidence for the fact that he is an alien is the fact that he has Space Blast, you know. As I said, all of the green abilities are real abilities that these guys can do in real life, you know. They're not just sort of made up things for the game. You know, they happen to exist in the real world, or you know, in our universe. But you know, he could just be another, you know, a lot of the people back then had these powers. We go to as I said with Peggle 2, there's less characters, more levels, which makes me think, you know, there's a reason why these guys. Oh, fuck's sake! There's a reason why these guys. Nice. Oh, you piece of shit. Come on. Whatever. Yeah, there's a reason why the people in Peggle 2 don't have the abilities of the people in Peggle 1. That why there's not as many characters, why there's not as much cast, and why there's more levels. You know, Simon couldn't find as many as there was before. Is the real and honest truth about it. Like, there's nothing much else we can say regarding it. Yeah, what he regards to this robot is sort of like it's not a robot, it's like a suit of armor, almost like an Iron Man. And it's sort of a Blawful collection when he goes to these planets. Oh, this isn't him because he's got 2 eyes here, but for Blawful collection, you do need one of these suits on because they are highly hazardous. As we saw before, they were just sort of existing in their mounds, but when they're taken out of their mounds, they sort of spew out this hot radioactive mess that you really shouldn't be touching if you have like sort of organic life on you. So yeah, you have to use these big suits to collect the Blawfuls, which then again we will see sort of what they are turned into. You can maybe have a guess for yourself of what the Blawfuls get turned into. It is something to do with something in the scene. I can't really say what, but it's what our alien buddy here says that they are used for, and so we kind of just have to believe him. Again, we're getting this off as second-hand information. Can we trust him? Maybe, but what a trash level. Oh shit, no way. Go on, give us a free wall. No shit. We actually complete it. Nice one, guys. Getting into the next one. I'm not really a big fan of this guy. You know. 4.8 million score. Lovely. And again, we see another robot. Now, this robot isn't for Blawful collection, as sort of I said before. That was a really good one. Come on, give us something. Wow, pretty bad. But no, it was not for Blawful collection, not for anything sort of like that. It was... Oh, shit. To clean out space. Now, again, I kind of don't like this section of the game because there's nothing that we can really prove here. There's nothing that really links us back. As I said, it was kind of added as this last minute thing because they thought fucking... this guy was so cool. Oh, let's put an alien in the game, this, that, and the other. I just don't agree with the design choice there at all, really. Like, I don't know. They really could have done better with it. And just to let him sort of explain his own story, we have no fucking trust in this guy, you know. At least with Catul, we're able to go to the ruins, you know, of where he first came from, really explore, you know, who Catul was. I just think it was a bit bullshit, the fact that you can kind of just meander your way into Peggle, and I think that was more of the fact that everybody only gets 5 levels in this game instead of 10, so they were just looking for people to fill up the sections. If you look at the main menu as we go through, you'll see that there's 55 levels. This is kind of the reason why I don't really like it. It just kind of seems like he was shoved in last minute, just so they could get to 55. Like, 50 is fucking fine as a number, you know. We don't need to care about any of that shit, you know. We didn't really need 5 extra levels in Peggle 1. But, yeah, that is part of the experimental nature, you know. If anyone were to, like, really delve deep into the game. Since this is the last level, we've gotten to what Bluffs really create. And you might have been able to guess, it is the robots. Now, it's interesting that we saw the fact that they had to design a mech suit to collect these Bluffs. They had to design a robot to store the Bluffs. And now, in the last 2 levels, we've got to see what they do with them, what they turn them into. And we did get to see it live in action right in the last 2 levels, but you know, again, I just don't believe a word that this guy says. So it is just a bit of a boring part of the video where we're kind of just waiting to go on to the next portions. There's no real connection. There's just no real Peggle drive here to, you know, lore reason. So, you know, we're just going to have to endure this last level. Hopefully we can beat it right here fairly simply. It's not very good, actually. Come on. Fuck. Well, just gonna YOLO it. Great. Okay, we get another chance. It's really not good, though. Wow. Fucking horrible. And we have to spend more time on this trash-ass level. Wow. It's really making me mad here. And I have been mad at Simon ever since for including these levels in Peggle, but it is what it is. We're going to get into the next one fairly soon. At least we do know, you know, the lore with the Bluffs and with the collection and sort of what he uses it for. But we're not going to see many robots, you know, after this in the game. I think there's a few later on, but even then, they're just not made of Bluffs. He's just making that shit up to sound cool. And that is the main thing with him. You know, none of these aliens even in these pictures are him. You know? I feel like he's the type of guy who surrounds himself with people funnier than him to you know, make him seem cool, you know? And he's always telling stories about other people. You think, why doesn't he have any stories for himself? It's because he's fucking boring, you know? Even if he is an alien, he's a boring alien. I don't think he should have been a mascot for the aliens at all. If he even is an alien, you know? Great. Okay, cool. We get to end this piece of shit section now. Great. Move on to our next character, who actually is got a little bit more interesting. I think it is interesting, at least, that, you know, it's set in space. It means that, you know, it is just another part of our universe that, you know, I just think that they could have done it in a better way. They could have, you know, done a little bit more research into them. It feels like a rush job. I'm not really a fan. Now we get to Claude Lobster. This guy is French, unfortunately, but he's from the French Ocean. He is a lobster. He is a chef. And let's have a read. Hello, je m'appelle Claude. That means I am Claude in your English. Have you tried the flippers? They are wonderful. With them, you will learn how to flip balls against the wall for extra points, like a crustacean board. No need to be shy. I just dive in right in. Yes. He's good at rhyming as well. I can't even really be mad at him. Flippers keep it coming. So, we're going to get into it a little bit. Now, Claude is not as connected as the other characters, but he is connected to Jimmy. Funnily enough, Jimmy, when he was in rehab, he actually went to rehab in France, which is interesting. And Claude also did that. He wasn't exactly a drug addict. I can't say on this channel what he was an addict of, but you can kind of piece it together what he was an addict of, what he was trying to get rid of. You know, it was hard for him. I'm not going to lie, it was. But it means he has a nice connection to Jimmy. And you will see he is not in Peggle 2. I don't think any of these future characters are in Peggle 2. So we're going to go through it. We're going to go through his 5 levels, see what he's talking about. We've got this clamshell right here. All of these levels are going to be underwater, but it doesn't mean he can't sort of breathe out of water. He can. He enjoys his time in the water. He can breathe in or out of water. He has both sort of apparatuses. And yeah, this is one of my favorite abilities in the game. One of the most interesting abilities in the game. You actually have, you know, a lot more control. And that is interesting for the overarching lore of the story. Because, as I said, a lot of the randomness in the game is to do with, once you launch that ball, you are at the whim of the game itself to do anything, you know. With these flippers, I get to control a lot more than usual. Oh, that's an amazing little shot right there. And you will see it. These are some of the funnest levels in the entire game. I'm going to reveal this pearl right here, this pearlescent, lovely clam. And yes, he has some connection to the ocean and to Disney itself. We can't really bring that up because this is a PopCap EA game. He does have connections, though, to Under the Sea. I can't really say anything else. You can piece it together, I believe. Nice. These levels should be nice and easy. We get to talk a little bit about the lore while having a bit of fun ourselves. Now, with the game being so out of your control, being so in control can be a little bit freeing. And I believe that they do this on purpose because for so much of the game, you don't know, you know, how any real thing is going to play out. But with the flippers, you get an insight into the future is what I'm going to call it. You get this. In most scenarios, you don't get that, but in this one, you get control, you get to view the future a little bit, and I think that is more of a metaphor of kind of being wealthy, but wealthy in a way that isn't literal. You don't have a lot of money, but you have insight, you know? I'm going to say that as insight. The more insight that you have, the more prepared you will be for certain situations. Now, in terms of this, you know, we're gonna be very prepared for what the game throws at us. Even if it's any amount of red, we get, like, you know, we get lots and lots of opportunities to actually change the course of the level. I think we are going to fly through these. It should be a lot more enjoyable than the last 5 piece of fucking trash levels. As I said, he knows Jimmy. He doesn't really know the rest of the cast. Of course, during Peggle 1's entire thing, Simon was sort of grouping people together in as many as they could. Bjorn was also always there as sort of like a supervisor for Simon on these expeditions. And, you know, Simon's just a human, so there's no way he can, you know, breathe underwater or anything. So he did bring some scuba gear out here. He also let Claude himself film a lot of these locations. He let Claude tell him a lot about how it works. So, you know, it's really great. I can't lie. We just lost the level there. That's okay. I do enjoy these ones, so I don't really care too much. Now, a tiny thing with Peggle is people compare it to gambling in a way because of the RNG aspects of the game, which, you know, life is a gamble, you know? You don't know what's going to happen to you, and that really is the thing that you should take away. Life is this gamble, this ebb and flow of information. You don't really know what's going to happen at all. And so, you know, we're playing a game where the house doesn't have to win a lot. The house actually wants the player to win a lot. And so that's why in Peggle 1, they give you so many options and abilities. They make the level shorter, because in Peggle 1, it's not about winning. It's about having as much fun as you can in the short time that you've got with the game, which isn't too long. It isn't too long now, you know? But then you look at Peggle 2, you've got 10 levels per character, with all of these bonus objective nonsense, all of these achievements. I just don't really enjoy it. I can't lie. I don't really enjoy the fact that everything's been categorized and this, that, and the other, and you know, there's a certain way to win. You know, I don't really care about that. I just want to play Peggle in peace. And we've lost the level again, but we're gonna redo that. Not a fucking problem by me. But you know, it makes the game a lot more about winning rather than taking part, and I just don't think that's what more really wants to suggest to us. Shit. Doing pretty good at least. And you know, you can kind of point to the abilities as a key difference between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2, that it's so much to do with winning and leaderboards, achievements, all of this stuff of how to balance a game. I think that is like a big contention between the two of, does the game want you to have fun? Or does this game want you to, you know, feel the achievement of what you do? And I feel like with a game like this that has so much RNG, you shouldn't focus so much on how much achievement you get from it. Like, I think the moment-to-moment gameplay should be the real achievement, the real fun that you have. Awesome. And we can finish this level out. Let's see what we do. But anyway, that isn't really to do with the lore. Again, I wanted this video to be sort of a retrospective of the whole Peggle experience, how it changed, how, you know. And so, yeah, we did have to point out the differences there, but it's not as really as fun as talking about the real lore. As you can see here, there's another example of the fact This is in France because there is a volcano there. France very, very known for having sort of volcanic activity, having really high waves, having turtles that surf. So, it is quite, expected of this area, and Claude himself to care about this type of stuff, especially when designing the levels. Simon did bring Simon did bring a lot of joy to the design when coming up with this. He worked very close with Claude, since he's very refined with his ability as well. He just has flippers, and you think, well, that's not an ability. The rest of them have these magic things that really affect the game, and this guy's just using his flippers. But I think that's the real genius of it, is that, anybody can be a superhero in some regard. Anyone can have special powers. It's just a difference in perspective or context where, I could have superpowers as a human. I could say that the fact that I can think super cognitively is like an ability, or you can say a lot of things about humanity and about how we view ourselves to really make us seem like superheroes. Adrenaline is a good one. Mothers can tear off cars from their children if it prevents them from being hurt. There's so much superpowers that we could, prescribe ourselves to a little green ball in Peggle. I think that's why Claude is such an interesting character here, is because he doesn't have magical powers like the rest of them. He just does what he can with what he's got, and it's an amazingly fun experience to behold. This is an interesting map, and we could talk about this. This is another philosophical chat we'll have to do with Peggle. You might have heard of Romulus. That infinite object, the snake eating its own tail. I think this is a slight jab at Bjorn, being this immortal creature that lives on a plane of existence that is just completely different to ours. You can see that in this map, this snake is smiling, but we can't really actually tell if that is the real thing it's feeling, because it could be anything. It could really it could be this blank thing. Well, we don't even really know what Bjorn is, Bjorn could have the same sort of thoughts and feelings. I get that he has had that drug addiction, so, which is quite like a human thing to have. But you look at other You look at other immortal beings in fiction, and you see them as like almost immaterial to to humans. That they don't operate the same as we do. They experience time differently because they have an infinite cycle of life. I think the cyclic nature is really the thing to point out here. Let's fucking go. Come on. Don't lose. Wow. Horrible. Anyway, we'll replay it. I like playing the Claude levels, so it's all good. But yeah, the cyclic nature can also be prescribed to us, we and Catul. That's the real link between them. Where is this going? Where are we really going here? When we play games. Why do we play games? Is it just a distraction, or maybe there's an infinite amount of games to play, or I'm kind of losing my mind here. I can't lie. I don't think we're going to beat this level right here. Come on, though. Shit. We're going to try it anyway. Okay, let's go. Oh, no fucking way. Let's go. One balls to spare, guys. Let's fucking go. Almost halfway through now. Hour and 20 minutes into it. Let's get this tasty flipper action by flipping this ball backwards against the wall. Shit, man. It's pretty trash. Come on. Boom. Trash. Complete trash. I guess we could talk about this level a little bit, but I think it's just two lovely fish sharing a lovely, you know, long stare. I don't really know. I don't fucking know. I think we're going to clear this level though nice and easy. 3 reds right there. I don't think there's anything else really to say about Claude, so we're just going to let this sort of simmer out as we sort of get ready to see the next character here. Wow, nice shot. Let's get a free ball as well, just for the guys. No, just kidding. Well, that's nice. That is a nice little ending for Claude. Did have a few replays there. That's obviously fine because it was super fun. And yeah, Claude's a great guy. Didn't appear back in Peggle 2, still alive, which is very nice. He's down in France, sort of doing the same thing with his cooking as he did before. Just nice to see that he's sort of back in the hot seat. Now this is nice. This is Redfield Pumpkin. Now this is actually kind of a 2-for-1. Why, hello there, my name is Redfield. Behind me is my valet, Igor. Together we will demonstrate the space-bending qualities of the spooky ball. Now this is by far the best ability used in the entire game. Well, I mean from a point standpoint. A lot of future runs in this game use this. This ability to get high score runs. It doesn't really matter for the lore, but it's just sort of fun fact to point out. Don't be alarmed, use with care. The spooky ball can earn points like you've never imagined. Let's try it. Nothing really to say here again. He does have a few connections with previous people and people a bit in the future here. It's quite nice that he sits in the middle of these. Obviously, if we exclude the alien, he does sit in the middle of the game as the... You know, I don't know. I do see it as a sort of seesaw between characters where all of these are sort of connected, or all of these are sort of connected, but in between is Redfield Pumpkin. This is being Igor and Redfield himself. Yeah, nothing else really to say. He does have a short lifespan, so he is dead now. But that's fine. Like, he kind of knew that. He knew that his appearance would only be in Peggle, really. He has sort of a... it's the same as a regular pumpkin, you know, so he only survived a fair few months from when he was picked to when he died. But he did get to sort of meet a lot of people. He get to do a lot of cool things with Peggle and Igor, which is nice, which is really nice. We're going to get into that as we go through these levels. magical power is spooky. Well, we're going to show that right now. As you see, the cup is completely closed off. Now, we're going to see what that means for us in a minute. As it comes down to the bottom, we will see. Da -da 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 -da. We're going to see how many points we can get here. This is a pretty decent shot. Let's see. Come on, roll, 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 roll. Get the purple. Unlucky. Roll backwards. Look at that. If only we got the purple there, guys. And you see, we get a lot of points there. Let's see, gives the right. Oh, nice. It's a great demonstration for us. Oh, and a lovely free ball, guys. We're getting really lucky here. 11 balls to play with through the rest of it. It is supposed to be sort of a spooky setting. We're not really at Halloween now. We're a little bit past it. But, you know, it is nice to get cozy with a spooky story and have a look at the background here. You know, behind here is the valet's house. And right here is the tree of eternal damnation. The face right there is of a, you know, another immortal being that is cursed with eternal damnation. Sort of stayed there, and to me, it's more like spook the kids when it comes around to Halloween. You know, with spooky tales, and it's just a really nice atmosphere there. I can't even lie. You'd think the graves have a little bit more to do with, you know, that overarching theme that I was on about life and death and mortality, but really, it's kind of just for fun. A lot of these people are ghosts, you know, or they're put up as Halloween decorations, and that's really what this guy's entire story is about. Is the fact that he didn't want people to be scared, scared of him and scared of his valet, and of course, you know, any future pumpkins that come after him. He didn't want people to be scared, so he created this entire haunted house for a Halloween type vibe, for spooky, you know, that spooky season. Here we're meeting another character that doesn't pop up too much, but this is Susan, the spider. She doesn't have any powers, is the problem. So instead, she made this big web just to be included, I guess. She didn't make the first draft, I would say, you know, of Peggle people. I think that she should have at least been put in as a, you know, a cameo, or maybe just to replace that stupid fucking alien, you know. What about the connections here? We're going to get a little bit into it when we get to the next people, but you know, he does have connections to Bjorn, of course. That was a very, very nice shot. I think we're up to 11 balls there. Or 12 balls, great. Should be a nice, easy clear for these stages. I'm not too sure, though. Who's going to hit some reds? Talk about the connections again. He's connected to a lot of the cast. Jimmy, Bjorn, not specifically to Catul. During both sort of filming eras of this, it was in completely different seasons, you know. Like they started doing the Egyptian stuff around, you know, June, a little bit before in May, and then they sort of continued this over in October when, November when he's a little bit less busy. So, you know, Catul didn't really get to talk to him as much, but you know, they still knew of each other. All the cast knew of each other. And what each other was doing. They were all sort of on the same sort of document, game design for it. I'm going to clear up this level, get into the next one. I'm going to say goodbye to Susan here. I don't think she appears again in the later levels, but I guess we'll see. Next level. Wow, this guy is a cobra. No. I completely forgot about this guy before I started recording it today. Yeah, there's no real lore significance, he's just kind of a cobra. Makes for a fun level, as we'll see very shortly. We're going to try and hit a green here. I think we can Get a great little... Oh, hopefully it was going to go to the right. That's fine. Nice little free ball there. Let's see if we can get green. Once more. I'm going to try and clear out all these reds. It's not bad at all. It would have been nice to see a free ball there, but that's fine. And again, you can kind of just see a decline in design between Peggle 1 and Peggle 2. There just wasn't really this interest. Like, you can kind of see the connection between a Peggle 1 and Peggle 2 character that I'm not going to name here, but it's just nicer in this version. It is cooler to see Spooky Ball come out and play, and you get a lot of points, you get a lot of greatness from these greens. And it's why, you know, Jimmy is really great in both games, and you can see the development between them. But they got this new talent in Peggle 2 that they thought was great, but to me, they were just complete trash, you know. But quickly get through this guy, I think. But no, you know, Jimmy and Bjorn being the only ones that sort of returned from Peggle 1 is very interesting. And the fact that, you know, Bjorn doesn't really evolve much, but Jimmy does, and then the rest of the cast is sort of weak, it can really leave like a lasting impact on the whole series in a retrospect, you know. Now, this is just a gremlin. You might think it's a bat, but no, it's a gremlin. Let's try to hit another green here. Get some more points. Maybe hit some reds here. We're not really getting any reds. I don't think we're getting any right now. Let's go to the right. Come on. Give me reds. Very unlucky. It's okay. We'll clear this out. Well, no. Since this is just a gremlin, you know, EA did get sued for this. Like a sort of infringement of copyright material. Well, they ended up winning the case because they said it was a bat, but it was a fucking gremlin, you know. We all know that it's a gremlin. And, I just think it's a bit pussy to hide behind that, you know, hide behind the lawyers. But, you know, that's what EA is really good at. So we're just going to sort of give them the benefit of the doubt that this is a bat, even though we all know it's a gremlin, you know. Fuck. Alright, well, I guess we're going to do this one again. Maybe we'll get some better greens. Oh, shit. Well, we're going to see what happens when you hit 2. Da, 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 da. Very nice little jingle there from the cast. Really not hitting many reds here. Not good at all, but we'll play this one out. See what's happening. Our pumpkin mate here doesn't really have anything great to do with the lore. I can't really name much. But you know, I think the fact that he has a short lifespan is kind of indicative of the whole game, you know. Sometimes you're going to meet people that are only in your life for a short time, and I feel like that is really what the character here is trying to play, is that sometimes there's going to be fleeting moments with your friends, with people that you meet. Maybe you just meet a cool guy on the street and you say hi to him, you know, but that's still going to be, you know, something that you remember him by. I think that's an interesting point of why he doesn't really have too much connections to anyone. You know, everyone has their own perception of this pumpkin guy and his waiter as well, you know. And there's no real way to quantify that, you know. Let's try and hit the greens again here. Or just perfectly avoid them, that's alright too. You're gonna try and just get a great score here. Maybe hit some more reds than last time. Come on guys, let's hit some reds. Okay, no more reds, I guess. That's fine. And I think it's really, again, we're going to go a little bit philosophical here with the lore. You know, it's to do with, everyone has different perceptions of other people. Maybe it's literally just, as I said, it might just be a cool guy that you wave to on the street. It might just be this, that, and the other, but then you're going to have that made perception of them in your own mind. And that really is like who we are as humans, is just a collection of perceptions, you know? Like, it's hard to say that we're anything other than that. And that's why I think the real story of Peggle is that you can be anything. You can be anything you would like to be in this world of ours. And, you know, if you'd like to be, you know, because it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. Because everybody's already going to have a different perception of you. Maybe you pick your nose in front of someone and they think you're gross. Maybe you hold the door for someone and they think you're a great person. Maybe someone thinks you're funny. Maybe someone thinks you're sad. Maybe someone thinks you're happy. It doesn't matter what they think. And it doesn't matter what you think, really. You can be whatever the fuck you want. And I think that really is the philosophical conclusion that they want us to find here. From this pumpkin, is that even if it's a fleeting moment with someone, you're always going to have that perception of someone. You know, and I think the great thing about that is human memory, and that is a lot of what this game really is underlyingly about. You know, there's a great shot there. We're going to try and break this hole open in the middle here. Oh, go on, let us in. Great. Nice. I'm gonna try to hit the screen again. Shot. We're gonna keep on hitting reds though. I'm not gonna waste our time too much. But you know, when we dissect this game, it doesn't have to be so, you know, it can be deep, and I think it really is deep, but the best part about it is that it doesn't have to be, you know. We can have our own interpretations of everything. I can find the enjoyment in knowing exactly what, you know, they want us to think. Well, even that's the thing. You could come up with your own interpretation of anything said in this video. Oh, it was almost a great shot. You can come up with any interpretation of this video that you want to, and it's a correct interpretation, you know, which is really what I wanted to show in this video. We're going to get onto this. Tula, sunflower, such a sunny day. What, you say it's raining? Well, even a rainy day can be sunny with the right perspective, and this is exactly what I'm fucking talking about. This game is a great philosophical and mental reset for you. I'm Tula, and I'm thrilled to I get to share my flower power with you. It's so helpful. The way it lights up orange pegs every time. Lots of folks say it's their favourite. I hope it'll be yours. Let's find out. Now, this is really, really great. Even a rainy day can be sunny with the right perspective. And that's really what we're going to get into here. And it's what really links our favourite pumpkin friend with Tula. Is that perspective change. You know, we've gone... If we sort of see it from a left to right perspective, it's been hardship and ego versus ego death, and even confronting the fact that we, you know, that we have to be separated from our soul at some point, and then the great beyond, and then we go back to our roots, and then we finally find perspective, recollection, you know, we finally get to some level of, I don't even know how to put it, like, tranquility, sorry. You get to some level of tranquility. You look here, it's ego, it's failure, it's death, it's the great beyond, it's reconciling, and then it's finally epiphany. And that's really what the second half of this game is about epiphany. Well, even a rainy day can be sunny with the right perspective. You need to keep that in mind as we play through these levels. Tula is a great character. We're going to have a lot of fun here. We've got 5 levels to do. My magic power is firepower. It lights up the orange peg. It's nice and easy. It's basically like Power Blast, which is why I kind of don't fuck with Power Blast, is that it kind of just takes away from Tula's perspective, but maybe that is for a reason. We need to kind of think about that as we go through, that everything is chosen here for a reason. Even though I was frustrated when I was playing those alien levels, it was only because I knew in perspective what was being taken, you know? Even if it's a fun ability or anything like that, I knew that it was being taken away from Tula of her uniqueness. But as I said, and as you will remember, even a rainy day can be great. And we're going to really find that out here by playing through these levels and enjoying ourselves and not being frustrated, you know? And that's really what Peggle is all about. How to find that balance between being frustrated and trying to win. What is trying to win, you know? In our life, what is the end goal? We don't have an end goal, you know? There's nothing promised to us. But maybe Tula is just trying to tell us that it's okay to feel like that, and it's okay to be in a rainy day, you know? It's okay to have rainy days. You just have to enjoy them as much as you enjoy those sunny ones. And even right now, I'm going to fail this level, I believe. That's absolutely fine. I think there's a lot more to talk about here, a lot more to get deep into. We're really reaching a point of retrospect with this game. It is going to reach a point of, I'm going to say a point of no return soon, where, you know, if you haven't understood it up until this point, you're going to have to sort of understand it for the last few levels to make sense. So I'm really going to try and hammer it home with these last few levels, how it all blends together, these games. Now, we've spoken a lot about Peggle 2 and Peggle 1, but really this is the story of Peggle 1. This is the story of how to make a game great without trying hard. That's another thing. We're going to try to not try hard. And I think there's, you know, when you create something, you can either go very silly, or you could go very deep. And I think that this game has found some perfect balance to where it can be silly and it can be deep at the exact same time for different people for different reasons. And that's the main amazing thing with fake lore, is that we get to now see the real lore within. We're going to lose our ball there. That doesn't matter, man. And what an amazing shot to round that out. I'm just saying, guys, leave a fucking like on this video. Comment your favourite fucking moment from this fucking video. Fuck. So we're almost up to 9 million score right now. Let's fucking go, guys. We're going to try and hit these greens. We're going to try and just close it out here. Oh, Tula. Not a hard level at all. Just easy. Lovely. You see this caterpillar down here? He doesn't have a name. I think he just sort of wanted to pose for the picture. He kind of came up to Stephen when he was taking pictures for Tula's levels. He came up and he said, "Oh, what you doing, mate?" And he went, "Oh, I'm just making this game at the minute. We sort of get to go around, get to talk to people, get to take some photos." And he said, "Oh, can I have a photo?" Not really thinking any much of it, but, you know, it's nice to see that even a coincidence can make a huge difference in your life, you know? Even a tiny thing like... Ooh, almost, guys. You know, even a tiny thing like this can make you feel really included. Don't worry about that, guys. We don't even need that ball. We don't need that one either. We're going to lose here, but that's absolutely fine, mate. We've got more time to chill with our mate. It's okay. We're going to go redo that. Have a lovely time. Gonna hit these greens. Hopefully hit this right side. go down, get a free ball. That's alright. But yeah, I want you to take away from this video, this level in particular, a specific moment in your life can really change it. And whether that be, you know, we go back to Jimmy Lightning, whether that be an extreme loss, whether that be a moment of realization of your ego or your, you know, who you are, what you are. I think that you should really just take away that you can be whatever the hell you want to be. Even be a bee. I'm really just staring at this guy right here. I'm getting a lot of good vibes from him right now. I don't know about you guys, but I really do see the smile on his face, and it gives me a lot of hope. I'm not sure about you guys. I think that's another thing about, and this is another retrospective thing between the first and the second game, is how hope has changed between, you know, when this game came out and the times that we're in right now. You look at the times that we're in right now. As we were chatting about Bjorn and you know, him being related to this political state of the world, of these people that they don't care about you. They don't care about who you are. They never did, you know? Like, we're in this time where we don't even give a fuck about the people that are on the streets in our world, that haven't got a home. We don't care about any of that shit. There's so much stuff to block out hope. To the point where we just don't believe in it really anymore. I think it's very, very telling that we played these games that are so old because of this thing called nostalgia, right? Why is nostalgia a thing? What, a thing that you think, what, times are better now? Like, come on, we have to understand that times could be better right fucking now, dude. We have this like great, amazing world in front of us, and we care about what? About how it was before? Like, come on, guys, we live in the present right now. Look at this fucking bear, he's doing fishing. That is cool, that is awesome. That should give you some fucking hope for what you are right now. This frog, he's sleeping on a tire going down a river. That is awesome. Come on, believe in something, anything, please. Don't lose your fucking hope with this life that you're in. Don't succumb to nostalgia. Don't do that. Just keep being the best version of you that you can be. Look at this fucking bear. He's having a picnic with bananas and fish. That is awesome. This game is awesome. Come on. I'm really trying to hammer this home because the last bit of this game is fucking amazing. And I want you guys to enjoy this. So comment down below. Comment down below right now your favorite bit of this video, your favorite animal in this video, your favorite thing ever. Comment comment your favorite thing ever right now. Oh my god. We're getting free balls out the wazoo right now. Let's go. Oh my god. And I'm just getting rewarded, man. This is the best thing about this game. It doesn't matter, man. If I was a monkey on a typewriter, I would have beat this game eventually. Anyone can beat this game. And that's really, really what I want to try and hammer home again. This life of ours. I think it's important to be environmentally aware. I'm reading from the screen right now if you're not looking. That's why I only drive a car made of imaginary magical bricks. Now, look, you can delve into the culture of... and we're going to talk about veganism here. We're going to talk about the world that we live in now. And again, this is another retrospective thing of what it was like before versus what it's like now. I'm not vegan, I love meat, man. I could eat so much meat. I don't give a fuck, man. But I see why, you know? Why you would want to. And it's a part of hope as well, you know? Or maybe just the fact that you're weirded out by the fact that you eat, you know, things that we're living. That's completely understandable. And even if you just care about sort of the animal cruelty part of it, I 100% understand that. And it's very interesting that she said that she's environmentally aware, and that she's, you know, got this imaginary car. It's a really great point that she's sort of brought up here. You know, what are we doing to our planet? What are we trying to achieve with progress, capitalism, all of this stuff, you know? We can go into a very deep conversation about that, but I really think that what the game is trying to say is that every process of that is important. Every single time you play a game, it is a distraction of everything else going on in your life, you know? I'm playing this game right now because, you know, I like playing video games. That could be it. But at the same time, you know, man, like I play games because it's a distraction of the horrible truths of what we live in at the minute, you know? I think if we are so caring about progress, about you know, getting to the next step, we look at AI now. You know, we're very lucky to be in a environment now where we can play Peggle and go back and realize, you know, it wasn't trying to warn us of anything. It was mainly just trying to say, you know, progress is great, but why are we doing this? Why are we going backwards in a sense instead of going forwards? We're trying to limit what humans can do rather than giving them more options, you know? We go straight back into the game. Just checking my phone there, guys. I think this level really is just trying to say, you know, when does human ingenuity, when does that become too much? When should we say we have enough? I think the answer really is that we'll never stop progressing in some ways or another, and maybe that will be the doom of us all. And maybe that's why Tula is so against using cars, you know, why she's so aware of the environment. Maybe she realizes that even though this progress it's progress, you know, it's greatness, it's human ingenuity, it's intelligence, it's everything that's part of our, you know, part of our planet is great. But at the same time, we have to be cautious. Been recording all that almost 2 hours now. We're seven out of, I believe, 11. We're not going to be doing the bonus levels. Just want to sort of do this as a introduction for all the characters, or, you know, those bonus levels, they're great, but they won't really teach us much about the lore, so I'm not going to go through them. If you like that, then comment down below. Your favorite swear word or something. I don't know. We can get a few balls here, maybe. That was trash, guys. Comment trash for some trash. What is the sun? That's what we need to ask. What is the sun? Is it just this star in the sea of other stars? Or, you know, what is the moon? Why do we need the moon? Why have we needed the moon for our tides? You know, that is such a astronomically unlikely event of how that spawned, you know. We had this fucking meteor come down, big ass meteor, smash into Earth, and now what? We got a moon? I think that is a common thing between planets, but we do have to be, you know, aware that that's what, you know, that controls our tides, and it's all because of a coincidence, right? How much of life is a coincidence? Do we have free will? Do we play Peggle for fun? Now you see the real importance of this game, the real importance of understanding the lore whilst you're playing. It makes you come to some revelations about yourself that you might have not had before. Does any of this really matter? Of course, that is quite a philosophical take. Sometimes you're just going to boot up the game like that. You go for some crazy shots, you have a lot of fun. I remain to the fact that this is the best party game ever. You pull this out at a party, I'm telling you, you'll have 10 people around you saying, let's play some fucking Peggle, okay? We're going to try to hit this last red. Lovely. Straight in the 10k. Last little stage from Tula. Thank you, Tula. Thank you for allowing us to use your levels as a standing point to really hammer home what Peggle is. Thank you. We're almost up to 10 million now. If you commented less than 10 million at the start of this video, then go fuck yourself. I'm just joking, guys. Now, this is the true ending of the game. These last 3 that we're going to go through, we've kind of reached the tipping point of the story, right? We've gone to Act 3. We've gone to the real ending of the game. Now, this is almost sort of the credit. No, I don't want to say the credit scene, but how we deal with such an ending. Now, do you feel lucky? Really lucky? How about super lucky? And you came to the right hair. Lucky Spin is a magical power for folks that like to take a chance. Free balls, triple scores, magic hats, all these and more can be yours. Let's spin. Now, before we get into it, I want you to try and guess what this guy's power does. Very, very simple. And you might love this stuff. Who doesn't like a bit of gambling? Okay? Comment down below gambling right now. So we're going to load into these. Again, this is almost like, I want to say, you know, the victory lap of the game. There's not going to be a ton of lore. There is some to do with character introductions, and we'll get into that as soon as we finish the rest of these 5 levels. Oh, let's see what we get, guys. Flippers, hey. Oh, bless me, guys. Comment down below, bless me. Go shoot down this left-hand side. Try and get another green. Come on, extra ball. Flower power. And this is what I mean by it's a bit of a victory lap, right? It sort of brings all of what we did before all into this one. Well, not one. The rest of them are also victory laps in a sense. But, you know, we have reached the antithesis of the story, and we're just trying to now play for something completely different. Before we were trying to play for answers, now we're just trying to play for a bit of fun. I'm not saying this game isn't fun before that, it's an amazing game. But now we have no purpose to try and explain, you know, the overarching story, because it's kind of over. But it doesn't mean that there's not more to say, right? So, who is this guy? We don't really know. We can kind of tell. And if you picked up on this, well done. Well done. Have a look at his teeth. You might say, oh, well, he's a bunny, you know, he has those teeth. Who else has teeth like that? I want you to have a quick think about that. Put it in the comments down below if you know the answer right there. Put a timestamp, put that I knew who was related. He's not actually a bunny. You might not believe. He is a beaver. Now, PopCap tried to hide this. They tried to give him long ears. This is a bit fucked, but, you know, he had ear stretching surgery when he was younger. Look, it was a different time back then. He's a very old lad. But essentially, he was one of the first to ever get powers within the story of Peggle, right? That's unfortunate. That's fine. We'll run it back. Anyway, he was like one of the first people to ever gain powers. And at first he didn't think he had any powers because, you know, that spin, it didn't contain the memories that he had. And so at that point, he was like, well, what is this, you know? And PopCap tried to guide him once there were so many more super people to meet them. And so they were like, oh shit, well, there's already a beaver. We can't have two beavers, right? And so they said to him, okay, we're gonna have to expand you. You know, we're gonna have to do that to you. And you know, not a lot of people understand that he was sort of the first character in this game. You know, Bjorn, he said he's the boss of this whole operation. It's not Bjorn. It's this guy, right? And when Jimmy Multiball found out that this guy was a beaver, he sent them a letter, essentially just saying, I'm sorry that happened to you, because he felt some remorse in the fact that, you know, if Jimmy wasn't a beaver, then this wouldn't have happened to the guy. Jimmy would have, you know, Jimmy might have never been in this game. He might, and that's what the real thing is, you know. How can something like that change your perspective of the whole thing? You know, what if Jimmy was never in Peggle? What if Jimmy, you know, what if they said instead, oh no, this guy, he's going to be the beaver of the game, so we don't need Jimmy. Let's get an extra ball. Lovely. We kind of needed that shit. But yeah, it really puts it into perspective. You know, you never really know. Come on. Shit. You never really know what's going to happen until it happens, you know. So never be afraid to say yes. Never be afraid to take an opportunity just to do something completely new outside of your comfort zone, man. Go and do it, dude. Like, you'll never know. You might find out you really like it, or you know, you might find out that it changes the course of your life in such a horrible way. I'm not saying do things that are dangerous. Definitely don't do that. But you should be able to. You should be able to try new things and not be afraid of the consequences of what kind of person that'll change you into. You know, you're never gonna be, you know, all of your cells regenerate in your body every 7 years, whatever. You're not the same person you were before. You're not the same person you were fucking yesterday, you know? So what I really want you to take home with that, triple score, not too good, not too bad. I don't think we're going to get too much out here anyway. Okay, no problem. But yeah, I just don't, I want you to take that with you. That you shouldn't be afraid of change. You shouldn't be afraid of you know, doing something even if you don't know. I don't know. I don't want to tell you guys go do dangerous stuff or anything like that. But, you know, you really only live once. We think back to Jimmy, right? If Jimmy hadn't been approached by Bjorn, if he hadn't been approached by PopCap to be the character that he was, who knows how his life would have changed? Who knows? This is a sad thing, but who knows if he would have been addicted to drugs? Who knows if that was the course his life was meant to take? But it doesn't matter. He's here now. And even though he understands the fact that just because of the greed of PopCap to stretch out this guy's ears, to make him into something that he's not, there's no way they can change anything, right? So I really want you to take that home with you guys. Always try something new. That's okay, we can redo these stages as much as we want. I'm in quite a flow state now with explaining. I quite enjoy the game. Hopefully enjoying the gameplay right now. Comment right now, gameplay. For 500 fucking quid. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm only kidding about that. Don't do that, because I don't have that much money. Magic cat. We got so much magic cats. So magic cats, I think it just touches more pegs. Which is pretty good. We're going to see a level in the future that is very good for Magic Cat. And you know, I don't want you to think that this isn't part of the story, but kind of isn't, you know? The real victory lap is being able to play all of these levels again, as whoever you want, out of Peggle, you know? That's the real victory lap. But when we're thinking about the story as a whole, we do have to understand that, right? Come on. Oh, guys, it's not looking good here. Let's get a free ball. Lovely. Great, guys. I'm going to run this one all the way to the end. Oh, shit. Hey. Nice one. Almost. Very, very bad for us there. The triple score, no worries. No worries, mate. We kind of know. Let's go ahead and get triple score. It's not going to be very good, I'm not going to lie. Another one? No, an extra ball. We'll take that, man. Not very good. Oh, that's not bad. Maybe get some more reds. I'm just trying to get this stuff sorted. Get straight into the next one. I don't think there's really anything else to say. I think I have hammered home the main points that I kind of want to get through to you guys with the lore of this game. I can't really think of any other connections that he has. Obviously, he has connections to the Pumpkin Man, but that is mainly just because the. Do you remember the guy, the chauffeur for Mr. Pumpkin? Do you remember him? He was actually a very, very old guy, and he doesn't have any powers. Okay, that's fine. We almost got it. Yeah, he doesn't have any powers like we kind of thought he did. And so he has this connection to our bunny guy right here, where they were one of the first people to sort of collaborate on a project to do with these secret powers that they, you know, at that point nobody knew how to do much with them, and you know, those initial projects, they didn't really get turned into much, mainly just for like theatrics, and obviously you can hear by the VFX that they use. He always has been in the circus business. Hey, you see, we'll get space bars now. Nice one, guys. Oh no. Sorry, guys. I think we're going to clear this one out. Nice and easy. Oh, no! Oh, how horrible. Oh, no! I guess we're doing it again. Let's go, bunny. Let's do it. I feel like I shouldn't be calling him a bunny either. But that's just sort of what the game calls him, so I don't want to feel too bad about it. I'm very sorry, mate, though. But that's another thing to do with perspective. Nice. Let's not get triple score. That's not good. Because that is going to be a trash score. We're going to try... Shoot it right there. Nice, that is good. Not good. Not good at all. come on. I don't think we're going to pass this one, guys. This one might be completely cut from the video. I'm not going to restart that, I'm not going to lie. Usually don't do that. Usually I have some hope, but that's pretty trash. I'm not going to lie. Pretty good first shot there. Could have been better. Oh, that was complete dog shit. This is a hard level, man. Getting into the end game here, guys. Not too many levels left. Oh, could have been better. Oh, okay. We'll talk about this level real quick. About its cyclic nature, as we talked about with Claude and sort of. It's all about going in a loop, you know, and you know, kind of how to break free, how to feel something when you do that. I've just okay. Still pretty tough. Oh no, very good. No, not good at all. No way! What a shot. Probably the best shot of the video, I'm not gonna lie. Well done. Well done, guys. I did not think we were gonna win that one. Let's go, guys. We're all the way up to 10 million now. Very, very good. Again, why not? Comment. What score do you think we're going to get to at the end? We only have 11 levels left to play through. So keep that in mind as we go through them. Come on now. Hopefully you yourself feel like you've learned something from the Peggle Institute, and from Fake Lore, from me to you guys. I hope you have learned something today. Pretty trash, pretty trash shots right there. We're gonna restart. I'm gonna pose a question here. What is the difference between me playing this game and a random AI playing it for me? A random monkey on a typewriter or a mouse in this case. What is the real difference? I need to try and put that in perspective for the whole video. How has this video even been different to that? What have I been doing? You know? Oh, I've been going for the greens a lot. That's true. I've been going for the reds. I know correlation there, but really, man, how much is different? And then I want to pose another question. How much will be different in your life? If your life was controlled by a monkey on a typewriter, how much would be controlled and dictated by random chance, luck, or your own volition? What is free will? You know? If you have nostalgia for a specific era of time, maybe it would be around this time. I don't want to say this because I feel like the most people that are going to watch this is going to be sort of the demographic that I'm in, of, you know, early 20s, mid 20s people who remember that feeling of booting up a video game back in the day, of really getting to play, you know? And maybe you don't feel that way now, and that could be for a number of reasons, but nostalgia, it's a powerful thing, right? You might have heard this quote before, but you wish that you were in the good times while you were, you know? Before it becomes nostalgia, before it becomes something like that, you know? And maybe you are on this spectrum of characters that were about to pop up in about 5 minutes of ego, of yourself, of transitioning from one state of being into another. Maybe you're in despair, maybe you've reached some sort of enlightenment in yourself, and that is really great, but we can't dwell on what you once were. We can only dwell on who you are now, on how much fun you're having, how, you know. So if you're able to stay with me this long, comment down a game that I should do some fake lore of again. That'd be really helpful, man. I want to play through lots of games, talk about a lot of fake lore. I mean real lore. And wouldn't you know it, it's a dealt hand of cards. Something that we were on about before, right? What's the hand of cards that you've been dealt? What have you been doing with your opportunities? Have you been shooting for the greens early? Have you been trying to do everything? Have you been a perfectionist when you should have just been working and whittling down on what you do now? You know? That's what the real thing, Peggle, is all about. Oh, maybe, guys, maybe. Let's try it. Oh, what do we do? What do we do? Higher? Maybe. Oh, no way! Oh, that's very unlucky. Let's give it another go. We're on the last stage here of our lucky. Triple score, probably the worst one we could get. Maybe we shouldn't hit the green so early. Almost 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Kind of ran out of lore to speak about as we play through the game. As I said, we're in the victory lap stage of the game here. We've already reached the epiphany, the epicenter of the story. Now, what are we going to do with that information? There is still more to say, of course. Oh, wow. Great score there. Let's see if we can... That's also good. Let's try and hit these two blues right here. Not as good at all, but that's fine. Pretty trash once again. Okay, now let's... I think it's cooked, no matter what. Oh, no way! Amazing, let's go. And that'll be the last level of this little section here. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the next character. Awesome design, Lord Cinderbottom. We are going to talk about him in just a minute. I just wanted to mention one last time this sort of array, this sort of cast of characters, and how it's quite linear, and they're definitely placed in a way where we can make some sense of it. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but we can think of this Bjorn as being this character that is so full of himself, so centered around his own being that he's literally immortal, you know? We have a character here that is so obsessed with himself that he himself cannot die. And then we have almost the antithesis of a character within the same spectrum of ego. We have Jimmy, multiball, someone who has been beaten by life, who is immortal, but is mortal, as what I meant to say. But he still gets up every day to do the things that he needs to do, right? He still believes in himself, and that is a part of ego, but that is not a bad part of ego. Now we have the Catul, and of course we know his unfortunate passing away. It is reflective of the whole story. He has been separated from his body, but even then he wants to live himself within the game. He wants to be a part of something bigger, which again is almost egotistical, but not in the way of these other two characters. It's more of that they would like to be remembered, even if one day this game will go away, even if it will be forgotten to the sands of time, you know. He doesn't care. He still wants to have his lasting imprint on it. And it's exactly the reason why pharaohs would bury themselves in such prestigious places such as the pyramids, is that they would want to be remembered on this earth for longer than their soul is connected to their body, right? And now this next person we're going to talk about, even though they are a last minute inclusion in the game, and that is something that we brought up, it's important to understand that the placement there is intentional, right? We want to go from something so grounded in our own reality to something that's not even based on our own reality in a certain sense. We don't know if this guy's a real alien, right? So we have an outworldish creature that's going to follow a stage of etherealness itself, of death, right? We have this guy who is quite literally something we cannot even visualize in our head because it doesn't exist, right? And so that is why it is important that he is sandwiched in between these two characters. And another reason is Claude himself is a very, very important character, not only within his own contained story of rehabilitation and being French. It's something so integral to reground yourself once you have come to these realizations, to reground yourself in a sense that you are on this earth, right? You are exploring, you are within the ocean, within our own air, within the O2 of the H2O, right? And then the pumpkin right here directly afterwards is a reminder of the sense that we truly are, right? We only have this short glimpse of an entire picture that we exist through. We have 80 years at the average to sort of be who we can be to other people. He only survived about a month from when he was picked to when he died, and he had this lasting impact on the entire cast of characters to where they have to think about themselves from the perspective if their life was so short, right? This guy has such a small life, but such a large impact on the overall story of Peggle. We need to understand the fact that we are only a memory inside of other people, right? We are only the collection of thoughts that people have towards the nature of our actions. Even if our life was so short, we would still care about the fact that our actions have consequences. Our actions affect other people's minds, right? You go back to the relationship between Bjorn, between Jimmy multiball, you have that as a contained story, right? Of betrayal and ego and trust, and the fact that the balance of power has been shifted because of society, that Bjorn will now not talk to Jimmy even though he's gone through something so traumatic, right? We can't have that exist in our own world because it's so, we have that exist in our own world because we have the ability to have a lasting impact on someone else's mental psyche. So the importance of the pumpkin is right there. And this is where the epiphany comes through. This is where our flower blooms, right? This is where we have to understand that Peggle is not just a game. Peggle is a mindset. Peggle is life. Peggle is your entire being, okay? You have to understand this to truly understand why this next character is so important. Now, we do have a little bit of a break and something that I call the victory lap, but it is also meant to show you a certain amount of luck that is provided in life, as we talked about with the moon and with the sun, right? These sort of factors, these coincidences, right, exist so we can exist. The mere fact that your sperm was the sperm that won inside your mother's womb, right? The fact that that happens is a mere miracle, not just the fact that you exist in a universe where there is a world where you exist, okay? There is this encapsulating thing right now with luck, with RNG, random numbers. We could exist within a matrix, within a simulation, and still be the same people we are today. And this is why Lord Cinderbottom is the most important character of Peggle. And this is why I'm going to read this right now, and I really want you to listen. I am Lord Cinderbottom of the Order of the Flame, and it is my privilege to reveal to you the fireball. Fiercest of Peggle magic powers, the fireball burns through the board with ferocious force. If you bounce it off the free ball bucket, your supremacy will be assured. Your training begins now. We're going to jump into this right now. Comment down below right fucking now. Anything. Put anything in the comments right now. I don't give a fuck who you are. Let's continue this shit. Strike the green peg to activate the fireball. We're going to see what that shit does. Have a real understanding for this game. This is the most important character in the entirety of Peggle. I'm going to restart there. I kind of got them muddled up. That's okay, though. That's okay. I didn't think it was that, but it's my bad. Okay? Now I'm going to show you the true power. Now, if you understand this video so far, I hope you have enjoyed. We're going to be talking about specifically where this is. Now, this is not on Earth, and I have something to reveal to you that may change your perspective on this entire video. Stephen does not exist. Okay? This guy Stephen, that I have brought up a few times, he does not exist on the plane of existence that we understand, okay? Stephen is still the project manager for Peggle, but he has never once been a physical human being, okay? He has been able to conjure these things because he truly is omnipotent in his own creations. We have to understand that to understand where this level is being taken place. I don't know if you remember, in the first 5 levels of the game, we were talking about Bjorn, we're having a lovely time, going through Israel, all of this shit. What did I say? The shooting star was taken by Stephen, the project lead of the entire game. right? And what do you see right now as we are with what is in fantasy the epitome of a mythical creature, a dragon, a shooting star. And that is all Stephen has ever been within the retrospect of Peggle. A shooting star, a fleeting moment, whatever you would like to call it, that is absolutely fine. Comment right now, anything. We're coming up on 2 hours 30 recording this video. I would like you to smash that like button. Now I'm leaving this bit sort of silent for a reason. I feel like we would enjoy a little bit of silence to take all of what I've said in, to ingest the lore. I'm going to try and beat this level. Just gonna have some fun. Just gonna be a bit laid back. We'll come back for the next level, guys. Enjoy. Welcome back. Hope you had time. Maybe go get yourself a glass of Coke. We go talk to a friend. Nice little 3-4 minute section there. Just drinking myself some Coke right now. Very lovely. I'm going to go to this next level. I'm going to enjoy this. Observe my student. The 3-ball butter kit is capped when the fireball is active. Thus, a well-timed shot will bounce off the cap and hit more pegs. Of course, we already knew that. We were doing it in the previous level. But what's interesting now is where we are. If you remember from the last level, where we were is actually within this painting. Okay? Now, this doesn't really mean that much. Other than the fact that I want you to try. I don't know if you've ever played a little game called Dark Souls. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. That's fine. There is a painted world itself within a couple of the Dark Souls games. Now, when I say painted world, you quite literally go inside a painting. And now, that has different lore implications in that game, as it does for this one. So we won't be discussing it in that same term, okay? But this is important. The same sentiment of going into something that is made is the same thing we're doing right now, okay? You know, we're going within this game into another painting, another form of art, We are going into it, and it's a completely new world, and that really is what this 5 levels is about, is the fact that this world is fake. That, you know, sorry, not our world. I mean, it might be, I don't care. But the world of Peggle isn't actually real. This is simply a facade, a facetious world that is very, very carefully masqueraded to seem real, okay? It's fine, we can redo this. Now, what is a painting? A painting is a form of art. The same way a game is a form of art. The same way a musical piece is a form of art, okay? Now what I'm going to try and share with you now is it is important to realise that Peggle itself may feel like a game, but it is a work of art. It has had a lot of designers, a lot of people work on it together to create a world in itself that we can go and explore. And now that is what they are trying to point out here within this level, is that no matter what, right, you can even gain meaning from these works of art. And that isn't a huge revolutionary concept that art has meaning. Of course it does, right? But what is fairly revolutionary is saying that video games can be an entire world to explore. Video games can give you that same thing. And of course, we have to understand here, Peggle was made fairly early in video games' lifespan. Not really. It's been made in the middle, but you think back to those old school games like Pong, that wasn't really a world, right? You know? You're just mindlessly playing. When have toys been works of art past the rudimentary level of their creation, right? You think back to the oldest toys known to man, right? Now I don't know the exact history on this, but I'm going to say a doll. A doll to a child can be an entire world that they experience. A doll to an adult can simply be an item that has been created. And that is something that you really lose when you play, when you get older in some regards. Of course, there is artists who never lose that spark and that sense of imagination. But the world that we currently live in, and this is why this is great that this game was made around this time, is that we don't want people to lose their imagination in a world that can crush them. We don't want people to lose the sense that an entire world can be within a toy. We don't want people to lose that sense of themselves and become basically nothing, right? We want people who love art. We want people who enjoy games, not just for the fact that there's something to do, but that there can be entire worlds inside of an art piece that we consider art. So now this is a connecting bridge, right, between, of course, I believe video games can be art. Video games can be an artistic form the same way that a painting can be. You can sit and look at a painting for a very long time and enjoy the feelings that come out of it, right? We could look at this painting right here and pick out what we feel when we see it. But for a very long time, video games weren't seen like that. Video games were simply, and looky here, guys, where are we? We're inside the painting. Okay, I'm sorry, I was getting off course there. So, let's back it up. A piece of art not only has those feelings, but it is a world that you can explore in your mind, right? And the connection now, and the reason why it's important, why there was a painting there in the first place, was the fact that we, the main people who played this were not adults. They were children. Who would play Peggle, they were children. There were people like you and me when we were younger on the Xbox and we had nothing else to play. We didn't have the money to buy all of these new games, and maybe we were just bored. And we saw on the Xbox Live Arcade that there was a game called Peggle, and we decided to try it out. And maybe it just felt like a silly arcade experience, but there's a reason why people still come back to it. There's a reason why people believe that Peggle is a great game. And it is because they do not lose the imagination of themselves when playing. They can imagine all of this stuff whilst playing, whilst enjoying themselves. And of course, I get to explain this law. It's a privilege of myself. I get to explain to you the mechanics of how they piece this together. But from an outside observer just playing Peggle, they don't care. That's fine, we'll replay this level. So I just want you to understand that Peggle was made to bridge the gap between artistry and toy. Between a child and a work of art. Between the generations of now and the past. We look at nostalgia so fondly because maybe our responsibilities weren't as great back then. But even then, it's because of change. It's because we have changed in some way that we will maybe never ever get back. We have made realizations of ourselves that we may never recover from. I love video games. I love playing games. And I love the artistry that comes with them. But my first game will never even compare to my final game. It will always be better. It will always be fonder in my memories than anything else. So again, that is the real story of this era of Peggle. We are playing through the final 6 stages now, so I just want you to maybe go grab something to eat, maybe pause the video, maybe have a little breather, maybe go hug your family, man, hug your friends. Maybe go smoke some weed, maybe go have a cigarette, do whatever you gotta do, man. Really. Great shot right there, guys. Appreciate shot straight after. And look, we got the Bluffs from before. It all does really come back, And you may find a lot of little Easter eggs here. I'm not going to say who that is, but I think some of you in the comments can definitely tell other people who that little guy is right there. Oh, nice one, guys. Hey, very nice. We're on the last level now. Well, we will be, of our dragon friend. And again, we're going to have one last retrospective before we go into the final 5 levels. And we may just do a victory lap of our own with the last 5. Just because I feel like the video needs some conclusion, okay? I wasn't going to do the last 5 levels, but if we do, we get the credits. And I feel like that's another thing. What are credits? Why do we strive for a finale? Or maybe I'll cut you off short. Maybe the reason why I want to do that is because it's okay to not have a finite ending. It's okay to not feel the satisfaction of hard work, because that simply isn't the case for some people. Some people's hard work is completely different. So maybe, even though you've watched all of this video, and you are expecting some grandiose conclusion, maybe the conclusion really is that there isn't one entirely, right? And I won't let you know until we get to there, you know? 2 hours and 45 minutes into this. If you enjoy this video, put a comment down below. Whatever the fuck you want, okay? Come on, 2 free balls. No fucking way. No way. Let's go. Oh my god. Yeah, we're getting so lucky right now. Let's go. Uh-oh. Oh no. Come on. No way. No way. Come on. Oh. What a ball ache, guys. Oh. Oh, great. And I think that's an easy little closer right there. I think we're going to beat this level. Hey. And maybe check your comment from the start of the video, man. Like, see how close you got to our total score. We are coming up on the last 5 levels. Or maybe the last 10. I'm not sure how I feel about doing the last 5. As I said, there's no real lore implications there, other than just sort of fun. I would like to point out, though, that in the background here, if you can guess what this place is right now, then you have definitely made a connection there that even I have not seen. Now, this could be most places. Now, I want to say that these ice caps, these things on the other side of this mountain, is one of those first levels with Bjorn, and that is Bjorn's mansion right there. You know, I don't really know. It could also be the castle that we were just at. It could be the haunted mansion that we saw previously. Of course, the vibes right here are a little bit different, but hey, man. Whatever you think that is, we'll go with that. Why not? Comment down below. Then we go straight in the Shankai there. Got 5 more stages. Again, we're going to just do a quick retrospective. Only a minute one here. You basically heard it. And this is where it really, really becomes apparent. The whole sort of stage we've set, right? By talking about this previously with the dragon. I do still think that he's one of the most important characters. Master Who may just be the most, though. Unfortunately. And this makes sense, right? We've gone through so many imaginable possibilities of who you can end up being, maybe even friends that you've met that remind you of some of these characters, but now we are sort of at someone you've probably never met, I've never met, I'm not going to be. Yes, I'm Who, called Master Who by some. Wander with me now as I hint at the mindful truths of the Zen Ball. Our journey will take us to where we are meant to be, or maybe next door, close enough. Now, if you have really been watching this and you've been enjoying the content so far, I would just like you to smile right now, as this is the perfect closer for our lore right now. Our journey will take us to where we are meant to be, or maybe next door, close enough. Okay? You understand that, right? We are going to now go into the final 5 levels. And you should already have sort of an expectation of what these are going to be. The Zen Ball actually doesn't matter itself. We're just going to enjoy 5 levels of peace, of tranquility, of being, right? We've gone through all of this. Let's close it out. Continue. Got a smiley sun over there. Now, Zen Ball is probably the most interesting ability in this entire game. You're going to see it very shortly, to where it will guide me to the best shot they could think of, which is pretty insane. We don't know the exact calculations, but don't you think that this is just the perfect thing? How I was saying, with monkeys on typewriters, this is quite literally guiding me to have the best shot I possibly can within a certain range. Isn't that just great? If we delve into the random, if we delve into what could be, what couldn't be, it will all sort of circle around this feeling of what's the best possible outcome right now. And I think that's what Peggle wants you to understand and wants you to think about when you finish playing it. What is the best thing you can do right now? And then do it. Okay? What could you do right now in your life to make it better for yourself and others, for your spirituality, for your body, for your mind, for everything, okay? And maybe, and there isn't a definitive answer, okay? There isn't such thing as a possible, best possible thing, or best possible outcome. But there is such thing as guiding yourself through a lens of, like, look at that, guys, come on now. Through a lens of Zen, through a lens of anything but, you know, putting yourself in other people's shoes, okay? Now look at that, guys. That is simply amazing. How am I going to hit that ball? Oh, man. Coming up on the 3 hour mark now, guys. Might be the hardest ones yet. Nice. That is good. Wow, what a crazy bounce there. You fucking kidding me? God damn it. That's a level down auras. It's quite interesting though. We got the sun and the moon. I think we mentioned it a few times around this video. But it really does sort of round out the lore. But now we're in a bowling alley, man, and we could be in, you know, I think this is a really sort of multiversal perspective of Zen, of what it means to be anything. I think this run is cooked, but I guess we'll see. Great shot there. And the owl really is sort of this animal of wisdom within our world and within Peggle too, you know? What has more wisdom than an owl that has a jewel on? Okay, I'm starting to get a bit crazy doing this, I can't lie. I really want to be done with this. But maybe that's part of the process, you know? And what's more fake than flying pigs? We're gonna, I guess, see what this does, and... Oh, I see. We're going to go in some portals today. And then we're gonna see what the Zen Ball will do for us on these levels. So, you know, all of the stuff that we've spoken about, you know, it doesn't really matter. Just gonna restart that. God damn, we're getting fucked up by these portals. Oh, we better get this one. Hey. We got two levels left actually. Approaching the 13 million mark. Did you put that in the comment section? Let me know right now. Zenball, tell me the odds of how fucked up I am right now. Fucking. So fucking tired right Shot Jimmy Lightning, Jimmy Beautiful. I think another concept of Peggle that's really important is this concept that you have a fate, right? You have an invisible force that's guiding all of your decisions, not entirely the restriction of free will, but you're on a set path that can be controlled or dictated by forces that aren't controlled by you. You don't have the specific... Oh, do I win now? Let's go. You don't have the... You don't have the specific, you know, ways to steer your life and course, but you can always try to steer it in a way. 280% more zen. Let's see this. That wasn't zen at all. But that is another thing that I guess this level specifically tries to tell you is that your fate can always be changed either by you or any external factors. Or it can be someone quite literally guiding you. Maximum energy, let's go. It's quite literally by someone guiding you through this experience, like telling you what to do. Not what to do, but you know. We're on the last stage here, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it to others, or keep it to yourself, man. We're 1 or 2 balls away right now from, I think it's only 1 from being the final level. Closing out this close to 3 hour and 15-minute long rant. Oh hey, I might just miss all the fucking buttons. I think I'm struggling to end this. There it is, guys. Final horror video. A lovely end to a lovely chat. I hope you learned something today. We've completed the Peggle Institute's undergraduate program with determination and flair. All that remains is the final exam. These levels will test your mettle, but you may choose any master to help your quest. I'm sure you'll do great. After all, you've been taught by the best. Now, we've finally got this grandiose retrospective. There's something that I'm just going to leave you with. Something that has been prevalent throughout the entire video is this exact line. We didn't know who any of these guys were around 3 hours and 13 minutes ago, but we've learned a lot about them. A lot about their personal life. A lot about what they think. How they act. Who they are. And in the end, we are at this final exam, but I'm going to choose to refuse it. Because we've truly learned something better than beating the game. I think we've learned the lore of Peggle, the retrospect of it and its sequel. I think we've learned a lot on this adventure together. I'd like to thank you again for tuning in. Comment down below. See if you got anywhere close to that score of around 12.5 million. Give yourself a pat on the back if you did. Give a comment. See what other game I should do fake lore about. If you truly did like this video, then do share it with others. Keep it to yourself. Do whatever the hell you want, okay? I'm going to go back to the main menu. This has been Fake Lore. You've been watching Fake Lore. Peace.